What happened to your ring?
I gave it to the working people.
We're the working people.
So you hate journalists? That's right. And now you wrote a book that reports on the lives of the royal family. Right. So you're a journalist. Isn't it true, sir, that your questionable wife has her own TV show and hangs out with celebrities and does fashion magazines? What are you suggesting? Well, I just think some people might say that your Instagram-loving wife actually doesn't want her privacy. How dare you, sir? My Instagram-loving wife has always wanted her privacy. And you know what else? To hell with Canada. We are leaving. We'll go find some quiet place where we can be normal people. Come on, wife. We want privacy.
King Charles may have just committed the most disastrous error of his reign so far, and it's not just a small misstep. It's a move that could unravel the very institution he's meant to uphold. Royal author Tom Bower is calling Meghan Markle a deeply harmful presence for Britain, and after everything that just went down surrounding the coronation, it's hard to argue with him. Whether you like Meghan or not, what's happening behind the scenes speaks volumes about the current state of the monarchy. Let's rewind. Prince Harry showed up at the coronation completely alone, while Meghan stayed back in California. The official excuse? She was celebrating Archie's birthday. But let's be real, that was a convenient cover. Everyone knows the real reason she didn't get on that plane. She was terrified of the reaction she'd get from the British public. And honestly, that fear wasn't unfounded. The crowd response wouldn't have been warm. She likely would have been booed and loudly, just like last time. But the real issue isn't Meghan's absence. It's how King Charles allowed the entire event, this historic, once-in-a-generation coronation, to be overshadowed by family theatrics.
Welcome back, and earlier today it was business as usual for the Princess of Wales as she visited a nursery in Luton as part of her early years development work. The engagement was her first solo appearance since the release of Harry's spiteful Spare, which was jam-packed with personal attacks against her and Prince William. So while Kate admirably carries out her duties, the dim-witted Duke is in diplomatic hot water with the despotic regime of Iran using his Taliban kill count revelation to help justify the execution of a detained British Iranian, Alireza Akbari. But even though Harry continues to damage the reputation of Britain and the monarchy, King Charles is reportedly eyeing reconciliation talks even before his coronation in May. Well, my next guest, Meghan Markle's biographer and one of the country's top journalists, Tom Bower, received word that at a recent private dinner for friends hosted by the King and Queen Consort at Clarence House, guests were shocked by His Majesty's reluctance to confront his tearaway son. So, Tom, great to have you. You say the King could be treading a dangerous path because Harry and Meghan will settle for nothing less than total capitulation and victory. What have you learned?
Instead of zeroing in on the legacy, grandeur, and symbolism of a monarch's crowning, he's allowed it to be reduced to tabloid fodder. From trying to win public support for Camilla to bending over backward to keep Harry somewhat involved, Charles seems more focused on family drama than the responsibilities of the crown. Meanwhile, Prince William is playing it right. He's staying composed, focused, and understands the deeper purpose of the monarchy. William isn't trying to win a popularity contest. He's stepping into the role of future king with purpose.
Well, Dan, good evening. Well, I think the problem is that Charles hates confrontation throughout his whole life. He has made his best to avoid challenging people who might in some way harm him. And he's scared. He's scared of Harry, especially now when Harry claims that there's another 400 pages of his memoirs which have not been published. And Harry is able, in my view, to really damage Charles by releasing more information or inventions and lies about the problems with Diana, with Camilla, and his relationship with Kate and William. And I'm afraid that the king, instead of seeing that surrender is the worst policy to pursue, has made it clear to his close friends that he'd prefer to find some sort of reconciliation and settlement with Harry and Meghan. And that, of course, in my view, would spell doom and disaster for the monarchy.
I think it's absolute madness. I mean, surely, Tom, this is not something that Prince William is going to go along with.
Charles, on the other hand, still seems stuck in the mindset of wanting approval. Every move he makes looks like it's meant to avoid offending someone. That's not leadership, that's appeasement. And a monarchy can't be led by a people pleaser. Instead of focusing the coronation on national pride, tradition, and continuity, Charles has allowed the conversation to spiral into whether Meghan should appear in the official brochure, even after everything she's said about the royals since the Queen passed. That's not just absurd, it's disrespectful to the crown itself. There's a time and place for inclusivity, but this wasn't it. It should have been about stability and vision, not who's being featured in the souvenir program. And let's not ignore the broader pattern here. Charles keeps trying to reintegrate Harry and Meghan, even after they've publicly slammed the family. With each damaging interview, each Netflix episode, each new podcast jab, his response hasn't been firm leadership, it's been more inclusion. As if giving them a seat at the table will somehow earn their loyalty back. It won't. They've made their position clear. They want the brand, not the burden. Tom Bower isn't sugarcoating it.
Oh, darling, I think this might be the place.
You really think so?
It's so quiet and empty here. If we moved here, then people would think we're really serious about wanting to be normal.
It does seem perfect, doesn't it?
We can have a fresh start here. Lead a normal life and have babies. Can we? Can we really move here and finally have our own privacy? My love, I will do anything for your privacy.
Sorry, Meghan. It's just not working out. All you talked about all season was your line of ketchup. Guess we could bring you back as a friend.
A friend? No, not that desperate. They only offered me friend of the housewives for next season.
Well, Dan, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, William and Kate have been utterly humiliated and insulted. First by Meghan herself in the Oprah Winfrey interview, and now again in Spare, the book. And the idea that William should in any way seek reconciliation, apologize to Harry and Meghan for anything, these inventions that the Montecito hucksters have delivered about the Prince and Princess of Wales is absurd. And I think here we see a definite division between Prince William and his father. Prince William will in no way want to apologize to Harry for his invented allegations about Kate and William not treating the couple properly, and will fear that if his father in any way seeks reconciliation, of course, the Montecito couple will certainly not accept just a simple apology. They'll want something that's actually groveling, absolute capitulation, which will damage the monarchy even more than it has so far been.
Indeed, and shouldn't Charles take a bit of a lesson from how Harry and Meghan responded to Jeremy Clarkson's apology this week? Because look, that was completely grovelling. It was bootlicking in its desperation to beg for forgiveness. And not only did they not accept the apology, Tom, they released a public statement trying to effectively end the career of Jeremy Clarkson forevermore. And they may well be successful on that front in the woke media, looking at where ITV and where Amazon is at. But I think they would do a very similar thing to Charles and to William. If they think that one apology is going to end this campaign of destruction from the Sussexes, I think they're very naive.
He's spelling out what so many Brits are quietly thinking but afraid to say aloud. Meghan turned race into a weapon, belittled the late Queen's legacy, and continues to lob accusations from across the Atlantic. And when given a chance to step up and show some support for the institution that made her famous, she bailed. Not because of Archie, because she didn't want to deal with public backlash. Think back to the Platinum Jubilee. Meghan and Harry weren't just iced out by the firm. Even family members who once welcomed them, like Zara and Mike Tyndall, wanted nothing to do with them. They were met with cold stares and louder boos. Meghan remembers that. She felt the chill of public disapproval and wanted no part of repeating that experience in front of the entire world. That wasn't an accident, that was a choice. So she stayed back and used a child's birthday as a shield. Was it a smart PR move? Probably. But it was also a clear signal. She's done with the royal duties, done with facing scrutiny, and only interested in the perks that come without consequences. She got the fame, the platform, the global audience. The duty part? That's long gone. And Charles, instead of recognizing the game being played, walked right into it again. What's most frustrating is how Charles allowed this to play out publicly. He had the opportunity to shut this down before it began. He could have made it clear from the start, if you tear down the monarchy, you don't get to show up for its most sacred event. Instead, he tiptoed around it. A strong king would have drawn the line in the sand. No more olive branches. No more mixed signals. Just a clear standard of loyalty. Even the palace seemed to want Meghan out. They put conditions on her participation that they knew she'd reject. And when she declined, it looked like a choice, but really, it was engineered that way. That's palace politics. But Charles, by not taking control, allowed that narrative to spiral and made himself appear indecisive and passive. It's the worst look for a newly crowned king. Harry, meanwhile, realized what was at stake. Skipping the coronation entirely would have cemented his outsider status forever. So he came for barely a day, sat in the back, and got out. No speeches, no spotlight, no real role. That's how far he's fallen, and he knows it. The royal family finally seems to be drawing boundaries, but it took far too long and came at the cost of their own credibility.
You're new, right?
I was born here, sir. My mother was a chambermaid. I began serving the family on my 9th birthday. I lived in your room for 2 years when we were children, so you could have a constant playmate.
So not new. Got it.
Sir, your millions from Netflix for no one knows what.
Put it with the rest of them.
Babe, time to do our daily $250,000 sponsored Instagram post for Del Taco.
I shouldn't have left the made-up nonsense.
You look amazing today, Grandpa. This is a sexy family. You know, for British people.
We want privacy! We want privacy! We want privacy! We want privacy!
All right, thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family. You've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it in your new book, Win.
Yes, that's right, friend. You see, my wife and I are
totally like, you should write a book because your family's like stupid, and then so are like journalists.
Well, I agree with you. Putting the Jeremy Clarkson issue to a side, of course, what the palace believes is that if they secretly negotiate a peace deal with the Sussexes, they can both make a statement and that'll be it. But of course, you can't trust Meghan and Harry. That's the point. Even if you think you've got a deal, and that I don't believe that is possible, but if you think you have, the palace will be shocked that they will renege immediately because they have no advantage of reconciliation. They've got no advantage of ending their vendetta against the Windsors and against Britain. Their whole financial future is tied up in publishing more revelations, accusations, and all the rest. So I don't see that the palace should even begin to in any way seek a deal or apologize like Jeremy Clarkson did, at least, not that. But what they need to do is face up to the blackmail that's coming from California and in some way or other undermine Harry's and Meghan's credibility.
Public sentiment is complicated. Polls show that younger Brits and communities of color still support Meghan. Many believe the criticism she faces is racially charged. But Tom Bower's point is different. He's not saying she doesn't deserve sympathy. He's saying actions matter. Meghan left the royal family, discredited it on global platforms, and turned her departure into a multi-million-dollar media venture. That's not loyalty, that's opportunism. You don't get to attack the institution and expect a hero's welcome. You don't get to slam the crown and then demand a front-row seat when it suits you. It's one or the other. Meghan made her decision, and that's fine. But the palace, and Charles especially, need to stop acting like she's still part of the fold. She isn't. And pretending otherwise only weakens the monarchy's standing. And what's really telling? We're 3 weeks away from a once-in-a-lifetime royal ceremony, and people barely care. Where's the excitement? Where's the patriotic buzz? Last year, the Platinum Jubilee had energy, pageantry, national pride. This year, it's muted. That says everything. Instead of headlines about history, we're flooded with gossip and scandals. And that's entirely on Charles. He's cut down the procession route, hesitated over which traditions to uphold, and sent mixed messages about who's in or out. That indecisiveness is damaging. A confident monarch would have locked in those details months ago and projected clarity. Instead, we're stuck watching the crown flounder through last-minute chaos. And that chaos is bleeding into public perception.
Yes, that's right, Dan. I think that once the publicity campaign of Harry's to promote his book dies out, which obviously will at some stage, only William can make a seasoned and reasonable statement to the world to assert the following fundamental facts: that Meghan was warmly welcomed in Britain, that everyone in the royal family tried their very, very hardest to make her feel at home and accommodate her, but that unfortunately Meghan only wanted to be the star and made it impossible for her and the royal family to collaborate and coexist. I think in the end they're going to have to somehow publish the report into the investigation of Meghan's alleged bullying of her staff in Kensington Palace. And I think that William has to say that the monarchy of Britain is not there to be a target for people who want to make money and gain publicity from attacking them. William is the right man to make it. It should not be an interview, but a statement in a regal manner and a normal and considered manner. But I think that is the way for them somehow and to draw a line under these attacks and humiliate the Sussexes to stop their campaign.
And I think William would do a very good job of that. You will remember his statement against the BBC after the findings of the Martin Bashir interview were released, and it was very regal. It was very sophisticated. I think William would do well doing that. Can we just talk a little bit about some of the fallout from the revelations in Spare? Of course, Harry wants to blame the British press when it comes to his kill count revelation having ramifications. But just this week, we've seen the despotic Iranian regime using it to try and justify a despicable execution.
Tom Bower might be seen as harsh, but he's also honest. His message: if you betray the royal institution, you shouldn't be welcomed back with open arms. Meghan once said the royal family silenced her. Now she's the one staying silent, but only when it helps her image. That's not growth. That's a calculated PR move from someone who knows exactly how to control her narrative. She's not the victim here. She's the strategist. And she badly miscalculated how much the British people value tradition, duty, and loyalty over glamour, celebrity, and grievance. Her choice to skip the coronation might boost her in certain circles, but it could also mark the end of her royal relevance. She's either part of the system or she's not, and the palace needs to start acting like it understands that. And Charles? He's missed the mark entirely. This was his moment to rise, to assert himself as a strong, visionary king ushering in a new era. But instead, he's looked uncertain, too eager to please, and unwilling to make the hard calls. The same weaknesses he showed as Prince of Wales are now haunting him as king. The monarchy isn't a family reunion. It's a symbol of national identity, history, and continuity. And when it starts looking like a drama-filled reality show, it loses the respect it depends on to survive. Charles needs to remember that this isn't just about his legacy. It's about the survival of the institution itself. And right now, that legacy is on shaky ground. The British people deserve better than this. The monarchy deserves better. And Tom Bower, blunt as he is saying what needs to be said. Some relationships can't be mended. Some bridges once burned should stay that way. Tom Bower has simply vocalized what many royal insiders have whispered behind closed doors. Charles is out of his depth. For decades, he waited in the wings, prepared to take on the crown. But now that he finally wears it, his actions suggest he's more caretaker than commander. There's no clear vision, no firm hand. And in times like these, with rising Republican sentiment and growing disinterest among young people, that's exactly what the monarchy can't afford. Let's not pretend this is just a modernization phase. This isn't strategy, it's uncertainty. Buckingham Palace is stumbling, not evolving. When Charles trimmed down the coronation route, it wasn't to reflect a slimmed-down monarchy. It was to avoid potential backlash. When he insisted Camilla be crowned queen and not queen consort, it wasn't about transparency. It was about rewriting public perception. But the public sees through it, and the press certainly isn't buying the PR spin. Meghan Markle has become the perfect scapegoat for everything going wrong. And yes, her choices have stirred deep resentment. But the problem isn't just her. It's the way the institution keeps reacting to her. Every time she says something controversial, there's a palace leak, a quiet briefing, or a sudden change in messaging. It gives her power. And for someone who claims to want privacy, Meghan sure knows how to hold the spotlight hostage. But Charles lets it happen. And while Harry still plays the conflicted prince, torn between blood and brand, Charles seems unable to let go of the son who walked away. His emotional attachment is understandable. He's a father, after all. But he's also the king. And the moment he puts personal affection above institutional strength, the crown suffers. That's what makes this such a crisis. It's not just a family drama. It's a constitutional failing. The monarchy survives on myth, on symbolism, stability, and strength. When those foundations are chipped away by Netflix specials and tell-all books, they don't just damage the people involved, they corrode the entire system. Every headline about Meghan's grievances, every photo of Harry looking awkward in the back row, sends a message. This house is divided, and divided houses don't last long. Queen Elizabeth II understood that.
Well, this is the sadness of the stupidity of Prince Harry. He doesn't understand the terrible consequences of many of his allegations and accusations and, unfortunately, misrepresentations and lies in his book. Now, in the case of the 25 Taliban he claims to have killed, it was a very, very foolish thing of him to have actually said that to his ghostwriter. The ghostwriter, of course, was looking for anything to sex up the book, and he didn't think about the consequences. I think Harry has put not only himself, but every Briton now in some sort of danger of retaliation. It's a very sensitive situation, and it's just one tiny example of the huge damage that Harry has caused by his book. He has undermined colossally the status of the royal family, but in this case, in the case of the Taliban, he has now increased the danger to himself. I don't think he realized, nor did, of course, Meghan, who is behind this whole thing, what the consequence would be of making this statement. I mean, it was a very, very dangerous thing to do, because we've seen what happened to Salman Rushdie. 10, 20 years after the fatwa was issued, he's still, in the end, there's always some lunatic who's willing to carry it out. It's hard to see how Harry is going to escape the dangers that he's created himself.
She rarely commented. She didn't need to. Her silence was strategy. Her mystery gave the institution power. Charles, by contrast, seems to want understanding, sympathy, relevance. But monarchs aren't supposed to be relatable. They're supposed to be above the noise, not drowning in it. If Charles doesn't course correct soon, with clear decisions, firmer boundaries, and a genuine understanding of what the monarchy must represent, his reign could be remembered not for transition, but for erosion. And if Meghan Markle becomes the defining figure of this royal chapter, history won't blame her. It'll blame the man who let her in again and again. Because in the end, power isn't taken, it's given. And right now, Charles is handing it away, one headline at a time.